Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable, but not to eat like comfort food, to disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims? Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace, but ilkas and plots to shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible, holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was no one who have to prove a claim you make. If folks really feel ashamed to express some content that was fake, it's not to say we never make mistakes. It's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason stay strapped with logic and facts. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road. The reason.
Yeah, wasn't that good?
That was good. That was good.
Anyway, welcome to the award-winning TV show Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century.
Hello.
It's award-winning. Today we have with us, I'm David Tamayo, president of Hispanic American Freethinkers, and we also have Tiffany Harding, one of our co-hosts here at the show.
Hello.
And we also have a very special guest with you today, Stephanie Guttormson. Guttormson.
There you go.
Anyway, hard enough for me to speak English, much less German or something. I don't know.
We were talking about that earlier.
I often wondered when some kid in kindergarten is learning to spell his name as Lee, and then you get another kid named Guttormson.
Yes. Oh, you said it right that time.
Oh,
Yeah, if I said enough times, it works out. It works out really well.
Law of averages.
So we're going to be discussing today many topics, but one of them is going to be on a particular group who historically has been very abused in the United States, but it seems that maybe now it's just coming to a time in this country where human rights for this group of people is going to be part of the equation. So hopefully, I think it could go either way at this point still, but who knows. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we do some announcements. And since, we got the clock ticking and we got a lot of territory to cover. So, Tiffany, you want to do the first announcement?
I would love to do the first announcement.
With a British accent? Or?
I'm going to do the first announcement regular. Maybe if I feel like it later.
Okay.
See, I should have did the British accent. Remember that this show is a work of love. And many people it is sponsored by Fairfax Public Access. And you want to take out your checkbook right now and maybe send us a couple bucks, 10, 20, 100. It's tax deductible.
1,000.
1,000. It's tax deductible to Fairfax Public Access. And the address is on Road to Reason's website. So, just to keep great programs like this one and others on the station going, just consider it. And back to you, David.
All right, the second announcement is Reason Rally 2. Did you guys go to the first one?
I went to the first one.
Did you?
I did not get a chance to.
Oh, all right. Well,
I want to go.
Happiest day.
For all of you in the audience who missed that, it was fantastic, and it's coming back again next year. There is no specific time yet, but start saving some money. They're trying to figure out whether it's going to be in the spring or in the fall. Depending on the scheduling with the government, how it is. But the idea is they're expecting about 50,000 people there. It'll be the largest conglomeration of atheists, agnostics, and freethinkers and non-believers that this country has ever seen in one place. Let's hope somebody doesn't decide this is a good time to send them all to hell at once. But I think it's going to be awesome. The program is being prepared. I know that because I'm in the board of directors. So there's right now like 200 candidates of people that people want presented. So if you know of someone or you think you want to suggest someone, it's probably been already suggested, but go ahead and give it a try. Feel free to send the show an email or send me an email, and we'll put that list in the list of people of invites to come over here. So
I put it this way: if because I remember from the last Reason Rally, if the worst thing God could do to us was rain on us just a little bit, we'll be fine. Well,
and that's the idea. We're trying to see if we can get it in the fall because it rains less in the fall. Mm-hmm. So if we can't do it, if we can't schedule it for the fall, then it'll be scheduled for the spring. But it's next year anyway. And we have elections next year. So there's going to be a lot of media from all over the world in there.
Absolutely.
And it should be fun either way. I mean, with all the rain we had last time, it was still a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. The rain didn't stop.
Yeah. So, next announcement.
Okay. Well, before that, in a place with more Latin Latin music, great rum, and other enchantments. American Atheists and the Puerto Rican Secular Humanists will be hosting the first regional atheist conference in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So that conference will be unforgettable, and really it's not that expensive to go to Puerto Rico, just to let you know. Go to the internet and search, and the prices will be there, and you'll see that they're pretty affordable, but it would be a great opportunity to go.
Well, for those of you in the Washington, D.C. area, the people in Puerto Rico have told me that they'd be willing to do some trade housing arrangements. So that way, when we go to Puerto Rico, we can stay in their home and not pay for a hotel, which can get expensive. And then during the next year for the recent rally, they can come in and stay with us. It's a good way to build also some relationships and some friendships. But the conference in Puerto Rico is going to be mostly in English for the most part, and there's going to be a lot of people coming. It's a good excuse to go try out and see how good that rum is. It's really good. I don't drink at all, anything.
No, of course not.
No, not if someone is watching me. Only alone in the dark.
You can't even spell rum.
Yeah, how do you spell rum?
R-U-M.
But
why
anyway,
is the rum gone?
Really, it's going to be a lot of fun. I assure you. No one parties like the Puerto Ricans. Salsa, merengue, cumbia, all of that. And the parties. If you ever, by the way, and I hope my fellow Hispanics don't get upset at me that I'm letting the secret out. If you're ever invited to a Latino party at 7 p.m. do not show up at 7 p.m.
What time do you show up?
Because you'll find people in their underwear at that time. Show up like around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so that's when the party really gets started and so on. So there's the secret. Now you're Latino inductees.
I feel honored.
All right. So with the actually, I think we have one more announcement, and that is I just want to do a shout out to Secular Policy Institute and to Johnny Montserrat for helping out a bunch of nonprofits with a lot of stuff. Our website at Hispanic American Free Thinkers was knocked down out of the air by some people in Syria that didn't appreciate us questioning Islam.
Right.
I don't know why, but as we always say, we can question all the ideas in the world. We just can't question. We can treat people with respect, but ideas we don't have to treat with respect.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Anyway, going on that, maybe we can have a little biblical reading or something. I feel like we need to do a little prayer or something along.
Well,
Tiffany,
I've got the perfect Bible verse.
Oh, okay. Should we bow our heads and?
It depends on how you feel. So today, instead of the joke of the week, I've got a Bible reading.
Bible quote.
So if you please open your tomes to Ezekiel 23:20. Please bow. There, and this is in the Bible. I'm not making this up. There, the whore lusted after her many lovers, whose genitals were big like donkeys, and whose seminal emissions were like that of horses. Thus saith the Lord.
Wow, that's in the Bible?
Yeah, it is.
And they
actually,
let children read that?
It's Ezekiel 23:20. I'm not making it up.
Wow.
And that's the word. But from now on,
oh my goodness,
we can read. Seriously, it wouldn't make a difference. We could tell a joke or read one of these stranger verses. It really wouldn't make a difference.
Well, the interesting thing is that they've never taken that out of the Bible.
No.
They've rewritten the Bible and adjusted it, and they still think that must be relevant somehow.
When I was younger, in Vacation Bible School, they always told us never to read Song of Solomon because that was considered the dirty one. Yeah, so we weren't allowed to really read that. But all the other ones were cool.
All right, well, we have a couple of minutes to really quickly read the two pieces of news that we have. We did have some news this week. So from Salt Lake City, Utah, last week the Mormon Church leadership once again met to outline their faith's commitment to the belief that marriage is between a man and many women. Hold on. That was 100 years ago. That was 100 years ago. This time they met together. That marriage is between one man and one woman this time. And the Mormon Church, not being tired of being in the wrong side of history, Tom Perry, a high-ranking church leader, said that, and he cautioned Mormons not to pay attention to the rest of the planet and vowed to continue being the leading voice on this issue.
Of course he does.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But yeah, this time they're saying it's one man, one woman. You know, who knows in the future? Obviously, they're malleable. They're malleable because, you know, they it used to be one and many women.
Right.
So maybe next time it'll be one woman, many guys.
Well, that's because Joseph Smith was caught cheating on his wife, and then the revelation came.
Thank God spoke.
Right.
Okay.
But that's for another episode. So we have some more news about Bruce Jenner. He's I don't know if he's officially transferred. Well, I'll get to the news first. He's the Olympic champion, of course, that everyone had on their breakfast cereal back in the day. And then he was on that show with those weird puppet women that that had the big butts. And he did a very in-depth interview this past week. And then the shocking news came out that he is Republican.
Oh my goodness.
I know, obviously, it's all well known.
Shocking.
Right?
How could he?
That's what he came out as. That was the shocking revelation that Bruce came out with this week. So we all, just have to learn and adjust on how we're going to think about him
Just gotta be
in the
accepting.
future. I can't think of anything else about him that is worthy, but that Republican thing.
All right. Well, I guess we should go into the rest of the news. And then a short PSA, and then we'll be back.
Yep.
Perfect. In Dublin, Georgia, it is reported that in one of the city's middle schools, teacher Nancy Perry informed her class that President Obama was not a Christian, and that if any of the parents of the children in the classroom supported him, they must not be Christians either. This didn't sit too well with at least one set of parents who requested a meeting with local school officials. When the meeting took place, it consisted of the parents, the teachers, a representative of the school, and the teacher's husband, who additionally happens to be a member of the local school board. That alone would bring into question any impartiality that might come out of the meeting. But it also happens that Bill Perry is a local conservative talk show host who frequently voices his opinions on such topics. The city's school superintendent has issued statements indicating that things are under control and that the teaching staff has been counseled regarding expressing their personal views on highly charged topics. But the parents are yet to be satisfied, and it seems that efforts to involve the NAACP and ACLU might be underway. For the Perry's part, they claim that the statements attributed to her were exaggerated or untrue, and that she plans to retire next year anyway. We suspect that there will be more to come on this story.
Homemade noodles. Marty, stop it! Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It reminds me, I've been thinking maybe we should try a new form of birth control. I heard about this one, it's called the IUD, intrauterine device. Or we could try the patch on your arm. Actually, I think that one goes on your butt.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
What do you think then? Arm or the butt?
There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
This is Richard Dawkins. Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week, the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait. Look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, or there'll be hell to pay.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back. I love those PSAs. I enjoy them. I was laughing on that first one, man. I was laughing so hard. Anyway, so right now we are going to start our conversation that we've been waiting for with Stephanie Guttormson.
I'll never get tired of hearing you trying to say that name, right?
I'm going to be going home saying, man, I could have done it right. So Stephanie has 2 bachelor's degrees, one in linguistics and the other one in something that I cannot do at all and I wish I could, and that's theoretical mathematics. Yes. Very 2 opposite things. And you've worked with the Richard Dawkins Foundation since March of 2013. I almost said 3, but 13. And what else can you say about her?
She was a leader. She was a leader of the award-winning student group at Metropolitan State University of Denver that developed the widely successful, unique events such as Food for Free Thoughts and the Pseudoscience Fair. She also brought in notable names like Michael Shermer and James Randi to speak to the campus.
Actually, I'm going to let you do the next one because I know you can say the word.
Okay, I'll say it. Stephanie has a YouTube channel called Think Skeptically that attempts to challenge all manners of woo-woo, superstition, faith, and basic tomfoolery. I just love saying woo-woo, but yeah.
I like the tomfoolery part.
I love tomfoolery too.
So she also appears at bedtime Bible stories with Joey Lee Kirkman and J.D. Shapiro. And they appear on Dogma Debate. No, I'm not gonna. I'm skipping that.
I say go ahead.
Dogma Debate with David Smalley. Nicest guy. Say hello to him for me because.
Hi, David.
David, and you've worked with J.T. Ebert, right?
I do.
In Denver, and you've worked on some issues, right?
A few
issues. So when do you find time to talk and to do work, to take care of yourself, to exercise, to do all the things that a young person does nowadays?
Mostly the weekends. Mostly the weekends, honestly.
So all right. Well, who wants to do the intro? The topic that we're going to be talking about today is going to be a topic that is deep and is very misunderstood, today.
Oh,
and so
goodness.
I've learned a lot just trying to prepare for the show, and I expect to learn a lot more today.
Okay, so
what are we talking about?
So the American Psychological Association says that transgender is an umbrella term for persons whose gender identity, gender expression, or behavior doesn't conform to norm, typically assigned sex at birth. So gender identity refers to a person's internal sense of being male, female, something else. Gender expression refers to the way that a person communicates their gender identity to others through behavior, clothing, hairstyles, voice, or body characteristics. Trans is sometimes used as shorthand for transgender. Well, while transgender is generally a good term, excuse me, not everyone whose appearance or behavior that is non-gender conform or gender non-conforming will likely identify as a transgender person. So the ways that transgender people are talked about in popular culture, academia, science are constantly changing, particularly as individuals' awareness, knowledge, and openness about transgender people and their experience continues to grow. So in the US, there are more than 700,000 people who identify as transgender.
So, why do we have you here today?
That's a good question.
Oh, for God's
Is that your first
Charming personality, smart, threaten my life if I didn't.
We're going to talk about theoretical mathematics after the show.
We could totally do that.
We talk about equations and... No, so I want us initially to talk about the topic itself and sort of what is it? What are some of the misunderstood aspects of this topic? Maybe instead of the long definition that we give, maybe we can talk a little bit about what it is and what it isn't. And then yes.
I'm saying I know some people who don't know that the T in LGBT is for transgender people. A lot of people I've spoken to do not know that.
Yes.
But yes, lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
And then you have to forget. Can't forget Q.
Oh yeah, and Q. We'll get to that.
I'll get to in a second. I actually kind of wanted to point out a couple of things that weren't in the intro.
Okay.
So we can start there. A couple definitions. Transgender was mentioned as a word. It's a word that exists. But there's also another term known as cisgender. Cis coming from the Latin for same as, whereas trans means on the other side of. So cisgender simply means a person whose sex and gender match. And the Q that we were talking about earlier can refer to genderqueer, which is someone who's gender fluid, which is another term for it, who tend to not, I wouldn't say not care, but they aren't married to one or the other.
Right.
Okay, and what are the characteristics in the sense that as a person, how do you know if you are transgendered? How do you know that you're feeling out of place, or that you're not with the right sex, or that you're feeling I'm living as a man but I'm actually a woman, that kind of thing?
That's a very difficult question for me to answer. Kind of generalized. Different people figure it out at different ages. People figure it out at different times in their life, for instance. But I can just talk about myself as far as that question goes. I knew what transgender was, or at least I had a name for it, when I was about 17. And then about that time is when I was like, okay, this is who I am. But before that, a lot of my feelings were oriented towards doing girly things or liking girly stuff like boys and dolls and all those little things. But because of social pressures and having a lot of boys as friends, lots of bad stuff happened. I repressed a lot of things, and I didn't come out as trans until I was 18. I didn't start transitioning until I was 27. Yeah.
Now, have you always been atheist?
No.
Okay. So, did becoming an atheist have any influence on expressing your
gender identity?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh,
so
no.
totally separate.
Yeah.
Because I know some people, once there's some people that once they're free from religion and they're free from superstition and they're free from questioning, they now feel they can question society as a whole, then they say, hey, now I can come out, now I can be myself without having to worry too much about society.
So this is what I was going to ask. So you were a religious person, right? How did you reconcile that?
I didn't have to.
Oh. So you were in a religion that wasn't oppressive.
Well, I mean, it was.
Some of them are.
But the repression and I won't call it oppression, but the suppression came more from just societal norms and things like that. I was Catholic growing up, so it wasn't really a big deal.
Well, plenty of sex going in the Catholic church.
Well, not the kind I like. Consent is sexy and above 18.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are all things. But no, in reality, it didn't really bother me. My gender identity wasn't wrapped up in my religion.
Right.
I actually gave up religion as far as believing Catholicism fairly early on, fifth grade.
Oh, okay.
So it's
you got smart quick.
Yeah,
I did. Going to Catholic school turned you into an atheist very quickly.
But you could, what would you say to a kid, right, who doesn't really know what to think? They're scared. They're maybe angry at the hole they've been pigeoned in, you know what I mean?
Right.
What would you say to that little kid who's not quite sure and has to reconcile with that? It has to be a difficult, thing to discover about yourself.
I would just tell them, listen, you're such and such an age, you're very, very young. Just take time to, learn about yourself. You don't have to know now. It's not something that you have to figure out tomorrow or next week. The bottom line is you got a lot of time to do that, and you shouldn't hate yourself for exploring those things and then maybe coming to different conclusions later than what you thought. Just try not to pigeonhole yourself while everyone else is trying to pigeonhole you. It's probably, it depends on the age, but that's what I would tell
With
you.
kids, I've heard that there are some parents that have been wanting to be very supportive of their kids, and the kid wants to dress, a boy wants to dress like a girl, or vice versa, and they want to be so supportive that at some point they say, well, we're willing to do a surgery reassignment to the kid, and should a doctor, or should that be the case, or should they wait until they can make up their own decision at age 18 rather than, what do you think of someone having or supporting surgery for a kid that is 10 years old?
Well, I will start by saying I haven't heard of very many of those being that young. They'll give HRT, hormone replacement therapy, to kids that young. But very, very rarely, if ever, do they do surgery, and the reason they wait is for certain aspects of puberty.
Development?
Certain aspects, and by that I mean, they usually, for kids, as far as I know, the earliest I've heard them doing it is like between 16 and 18, so just before they're adults, but they've gone through an HRT for long enough, plus a whole bunch of other factors, and it's going to be up to the doctor. There is no demarcating line as far as I know, but it's up to the doctors that include therapists and so on to determine what would be good for that child.
So is this something that goes on forever, or is this something that it gets to a point where you no longer need therapy, no longer, or you the replacement?
I'm just kidding.
Or does the hormone replacement stays for a lifetime, or?
It doesn't, unfortunately, unless we got our glands fixed or what have you. I'm going to be on HRT for the rest of my life. But the dosage is going to change once I get to certain milestones. And
once you hit menopause, there's going to be like...
That's not on my remote. I've got play fast forward, but I do not have, I do not have pause.
It's all going to go downhill.
So let me ask you this, and this is just for everyone. Why does it seem that there is far more violence towards transgendered people than it is towards gay nowadays? And certainly, bisexuals are usually more still in the closet than anything. Mm-hmm. But it seems that, we remember the movie a few years ago where, it's very well known that transgendered people get attacked fairly often.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is it fear? Is it insecurity on the part of the attackers?
I would say it's insecurity on part of the attacker.
Yeah, that's.
It's a guess. It's a guess.
That's most of the answer, in my opinion. It's the fear that they might be. Mm-hmm. They've had feelings or whatever it might be, but. Unlike homophobia, I don't think it's as rooted in being, say, closeted gay or whatever, as it is rooted in fear, entirely in fear. Especially with cis women, fearing that trans women are just going to be guys wearing dresses to get an opportunity to rape women, and that doesn't happen.
That's what they were arguing about with the bathroom controversies.
Like, so silly.
Oh no, there's going to be they're women using a woman's bathroom. That's
true.
What happens.
So let's talk about bathrooms. Yeah. Do you all think? So you go to anybody's house, and it's like the bathroom is for boys and girls, right? It doesing matter. It's same sex, different sex. Everybody gets to use the bathroom.
Right.
Why can't we do that in public? In a few years ago, about 5-6 years ago, I was in the southern France in McDonald's. If you're traveling abroad and you want a clean bathroom. You go to McDonald's.
I'd say go to McDonald's.
A French McDonald's.
A French McDonald's. So I went to the bathroom, and I go in, and there are some urinals, and I'm doing my business, and then these 3 women walked in, and for that split second I went, oh my God, I went into the women's bathroom. And then I realized, wait a minute, they went into the wrong bathroom because these are urinals. And then I found out that, no, it was one bathroom for everybody.
You mean the Ally McBeal it over there?
Yes.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Oh my goodness. They are adult.
Yes.
Right. They're adults now.
And
They
so
grew up over there.
imagine, you save on having to have 2 sets of everything, and you make better use of the facilities, and maximize the utility.
Separate is not equal.
That's true.
That's right.
And I mean, it's not like the argument that they had, I forgot where it was in, I forgot what state it was in, where they were talking about, oh, if transgender people use the bathroom, then they're going to pray. Like, I'm going to the bathroom because I have one thing on my mind, and sex doesn't happen to be that one thing on my mind at the time.
No.
Usually when I go to the
99% of the time, when I'm going to the bathroom, it's for bathroom reasons.
Right, it's for bathroom reasons.
And
unless there's loud music in the background. Whatever.
Actually, that's a different story. Some people say there's enough music in the bathroom.
Right.
Too many noises in the bathroom.
It seems puerile, these arguments that people have,
out of
especially
ignorance.
about it's ignorant, especially about bathrooms.
There's no stats to support it.
No, not at all.
So I think that if you would raise kids that way, then they grow up not having these beliefs that are false, that that someone is going to go and rape my daughter and my wife and everybody in there. It's going to be men in
What's
drag.
wrong with you?
There's no history.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder.
What's wrong with you? Why are you thinking these things? That's really bizarre to me.
Take one to know one.
I saw a picture online of a trans man, and he was standing in a woman's bathroom. Yes. You saw that picture?
I love those
and he
pictures.
had the hat. He's a big guy. He's like, does this look like where I'm supposed to be? Really? Like, no, he's a man. He needs to go into the men's room.
But a lot of states are passing laws against that, especially in high schools, and threatening the students that if they don't follow this, if you don't go with the sex you were born with, that's what the gender you were born with is how they place it, then that they're going to take funds away from schools, they're going to arrest people, and so on. And you can get it's being accused of a sex crime, which means you get, you can get your name put out in a list for the rest of your life. It's horrible.
Oh, for goodness sake. You'd think we'd gone further in this country than to be concerned with other people's wee-wees and woo-woos.
So, more questions. A little bit on so someone emailed me a question for you saying, why would anyone want to become a woman? Being a woman is really hard, is really tough. It takes a long time to get dressed. You make 77 cents on the dollar. People, men treat you, as if you're a lower, treat you as if you're a lower person. They think they can push you around, that kind of stuff. So, why do you think this is the case? How is,
Because you know how well women are considered in religious communities. So, I mean, think about it. You've got, like I said, being a woman is, first of all, in the broader, culture. Then you've got the religious culture that our country sure does love.
Women have to be submissive.
Women have to
and they're
be
afraid
submissive.
if he's really a man, he's not going to be submissive.
Right.
He's going to kick my ass.
That might be a thing.
I think so.
Sorry, it just came to me.
I think that might be it. That, the submissiveness that, a lot of religion pushes. I mean, you look at the Quran, you look at the Bible, you look at a lot of it. But what does the Bible exactly say about being transgender?
Nothing, as far as I can. As far as I can tell, I've read the book a couple times, and the closest passage I think I could find was the thing about long hair. It's a disgrace to men to have long hair. That's about the only one, and that would include Jesus.
But was that like a cultural thing of ancient Judea to have
I don't
long hair?
know. The biggest Jew there was Jesus.
Right.
And he had long hair, but maybe he was transgendered.
Possibly.
If he was real, if he actually existed, he did dress with the same women's clothes because that was the same in those days, right?
Something just popped in my head.
Uh-oh.
It's the Middle Eastern religions have the problem, I think, with gender. Well, you get to like Hinduism, and they actually have like a sect of I forgot what they call them, but they are transgendered women, who actually
accepted.
Yeah, who are accepted, and like when someone has a funeral, these women go to that funeral to pray for them, and they believe that they represent a goddess who was both male and female, and it's like an honor to have them at your funeral, and in Buddhism. and other Eastern religions. It doesn't matter. Or it's like, to them, it's like some sort of special calling. Like, you understand gender more, and you represent such and such god or goddess, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, there was someone,
Sorry.
there was a Christian that told me that the Bible very explicitly prohibits male homosexuals, to be technically correct.
Never mentions females.
It never mentions females.
Okay,
You know,
all
it
right.
goes to show you they just like female and female. They were okay with that.
Right.
Anyway, so he was saying that he saw transgender being just an extension or sort of a further perversion of being homosexual. But the fact is that being transgender doesn't speak about your sexuality, does it?
No, it doesn't actually at all. Look, let me put it this way. You can be cisgendered or transgendered, but who you like, your sexuality, you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be bi, you can be pansexual, you can be asexual, not attracted to anyone. You can be any of these things, and it has nothing to do with your gender. I know a lot of trans women that are lesbians. I know some that are bi. I happen to be a trans woman who's straight. And then there's a lot of misconceptions about, well, aren't you just really a gay man wearing a dress? No, I never identified as a gay man. I mean, when I was little, I did, but that was for reasons that had to do with the people around me, society.
And
People trying to
definitions.
fit you into that cisgender.
Yeah, exactly. And I never got to that in my life. So,
well, I did have someone say recently in this conversation. I asked people to write, prior to the show, and there was somebody that was saying, or there was a story where one guy who was gay. His parents, who were very religious, were very much against him because the Bible prohibits it very exclusively. And so when he became transgendered, had a sex change, and continued dating the same person that he was dating before, then the parents were very accepting and happy because now he's not violating the Bible. Now it's a straight guy. It's a straight woman loving a straight guy because now you have, Now, on the other hand, there are some religious people that say, this is a sin. It's absolutely a sin. Why? Because you're fixing something that God created, and so you're sticking it in God's eye, saying that He made a mistake in assigning you the actual sex. Have you heard that before?
I have heard that before, and unfortunately, they're wrong. Well, maybe fortunately, they're wrong.
How are they wrong?
Well, here's the thing. God doesn't have a very good design, as Neil deGrasse Tyson's pointed out in his talk, Stupid Design.
If he existed, or she.
If God created all of us, then He created me with the wrong sex. Like, He built in the malfunction, I guess, if you want to call it.
I wouldn't call it a malfunction.
Oh, let me put it this way.
Didn't match the hormones with the gender?
Exactly.
Right.
But no, I get where you're coming from. It's not necessarily like a problem, but it is a medical condition. It has to be treated like a medical condition and not like not something that's a choice or things of that nature. Gender dysphoria, which is what it's called in the psychological community, or, doctors, those silly people. Gender dysphoria is the clinical name for it, and treating it means reassigning one's gender and sex.
So does we're starting to run low on time, and I want to start asking some more personal questions.
Sure.
All right.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get in there.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna get in there.
Now, has anyone ever made any religious argument to you that made any sense? First of all, to get that off the table.
I'll have to answer very similarly to one Richard Dawkins. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy. He's an evolutionary biologist.
He was talking to us in the break.
True.
Is that who that was?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's it. No more coffee before the show.
Anyway, where were we? All right. So news at 11. No, where were we?
Well,
Richard Dawkins.
We're talking about the arguments, religion arguments.
I mean, the one that probably gives me the most pause, and I say most pause, is the fine-tuning argument. But I only pause to gather my thoughts and explain why it's wrong.
How that's wrong, yeah.
But it is the one that gives me the most pause.
So, okay, so now personal question.
Uh-oh.
This is the hang on to your
We're going
seats.
to get in there.
Now, since you've since you started transitioning, how long has it been?
It's been about a year and a half.
A year and a half. And since then, how many more people have signed up for your Facebook account? I have a theory there.
It's been a lot.
Triple, maybe?
Sure.
Maybe more?
Sure, we'll say triple.
Why?
I don't quite know.
It just seems to me kind of strange that you are this in your head. You're still the same person. Your beliefs, you're still the same person. You're just as smart as you've ever been.
Yeah.
Your philosophy hasn't changed, right? You are the same person, but now people want to be your friend. They want to. Okay, so let's keep going then. How many people have asked you on a date since versus before on Facebook?
We'll get personal.
Oh,
You're blushing.
All right.
Yeah.
A lot. I would say I'd probably put it between 20 and 50. I've had guys tell me they want to marry me. Right off the bat, it would be, "Hi, how are you? I want to marry you."
Where are these guys?
And you haven't taken that
Facebook.
seriously.
The internet.
Yeah, where all the good stuff comes from.
I know, right?
There's never anything. Has there been anything on the internet that has been not family friendly or family oriented?
Yeah.
So go internet.
So, okay, and now, so have you, I'm sure you've gone on a few dates in the last year and a half. Have you any advice? We'll just one thing right now, but we'll pick others later. Any advice for someone that wants to date a transgendered woman?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'll try and shoot through these really quick.
Okay.
Do not ask them about surgeries. Do not call them tranny.
That's
So
disrespectful.
tranny is derogatory.
It is derogatory.
And how about she-male? Is that derogatory also? Or-
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
But I pause because of certain websites. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
But yeah,
And-
for the most part.
And so are you, as from the transgendered woman? I'm sorry, I just got so many questions, but jump in.
Oh no! I was gonna finish asking what do you say? What not to say if you were going on a date with a transgender woman? Because I know some transgender men, and I've heard them say almost the same thing, but it's a little different for them because they've gone from being a female to being a male, and males always have more power. I don't know why, but
society,
even how they're perceived differently.
Yeah,
and then there's very, very interesting.
More aggressive roles.
Absolutely.
My advice would be this: if I had to bring it down to one line, if you wouldn't say it to a cisgendered girl, really think hard within yourself. If you wouldn't say it or ask it to a cis girl, don't say it to a trans woman. Just treat the trans girl as you would any other cis girl, and you should be okay.
Should at what point in dating? So let's say you go on a blind date. The other person has knows nothing about you.
They should know that, though.
At what point? Well, no. If it's a blind date, at what point?
Not all the time.
At what point should you let someone know that you're a transgendered woman, or should you not? If you've already had an operation and you've gone through the whole thing and you are a woman, I mean, why should that be up? Bring that up.
If in my position of being pre-op, I would say that and I've struggled with this myself, but after I meet him, I usually pick a time after we first met and hung out, and before we do anything sexual. So it's in that breathing room between those two things. If there is such breathing room, that's when I tell them.
Okay.
I try to do my best to be honest, but
then you body language and see how they're taking it.
Right.
Because I've been told that a lot of the violence comes from that also, because people
it's
feel
trans panic.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
which I think is rooted in homophobia. I know they're totally different things, but I can even root homophobia to misogyny.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it all comes from the same thing. Women freak me out deep down.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
I mean, on the other hand, like there have been guys that have been like, oh, I can't be with a trans girl because I'm not gay, and it's like it misunderstands so many things. But then my response is, so when you're out with like a cis girl, do you go, oh my God, I can't be with you? Because you used to be a baby, and I'm not a pedophile.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's a great analogy.
I see what you're saying.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah, you can't. It's silly to me.
Well, you know, it's
but it's confusing to a lot of people. A lot of people aren't as educated or informed. But I think, like, especially with the Supreme Court coming out with the decision rather soon, I hope.
In June, I think.
In June, about gay marriage, which is totally not the topic, but that would open up the conversation, I think, for all LGBT issues.
I would tend to agree.
And I think as it becomes more norm, because I actually went, not this year to the marriage march, I went to last year's marriage march, and I walked around and I saw the monks with they're like real, like, storybook monks with the brown things, and they were telling me about what gender issues in marriage are. I'm like, but you're a celibate monk.
Yeah, supposedly.
So why are you telling me? So do you think that religion has lost a battle on LGBT issues?
Well, of course they have. The Republican Party, who's been championing these kind of religious ideas, has kind of super failed about it. And they're going to receive some blowback soon.
Absolutely.
Especially after, hopefully in June, when we allow people to get married.
What is that blowback going to look like?
Well, for once, it's less voters for the Republicans.
There it is.
So I think, and there's backpedaling. They're softening their stand on things, and a lot of the religions are starting to say, well, we need to love, including the Catholic Church, the Pope.
Right.
Oh, who are we to judge?
I saw that.
This is backpedaling because they know that this is, it's one of those things where society is forcing the religion to change their stance.
Isn't it interesting how much power society has over God's morals?
Tell that to the Mormons.
But they losing the culture war. They're afraid of losing relevance.
Yeah.
And so, as more and more people begin to understand LGBT people's issues, then maybe the church will change its mind. Just like racial issues back in the day. Remember how the Mormon church wouldn't let black people become priests until 1979?
Yeah, the Mormons,
Yeah, and why? Because the social culture was changing. And so to be relevant, you had to change. Even before that, in the 1880s, when Utah was trying to be a state.
Yeah.
Oh, now suddenly it's okay for us not to have. Oh, why? Because
polygamy is no longer.
Exactly, because the social culture has changed. So, how long do you think they have? Like, give me minutes. How long do you think they have?
Well, I think they started already with you look at the young people today and their loss of religion. I think that speaks volumes to what is coming. And they're desperate trying to bring him in and trying to be more neutral and less judgmental and become more like Unitarians. Everybody's welcome, come here, we love everybody. Oh yeah, we just ignore that. We're just not going to read the Bible literally that way.
I mean, millennials and Gen X kids, Generation X, tend to be more accepting of LGBT people, LGBTQ, and are more likely to be atheists, or at least not identify with religion.
And different races, intermarriage of races. It used to be here in Virginia that it was illegal for a black person, a white person to get married here in Virginia until even the 1950s. And now, does anyone even think about that? Does anyone even look about, twice when a mixed race couple walks by? No. That's what I think is going to head this way. But you have that question that I have also.
Right.
The Q.
Yeah, you saw me.
Yes.
Say, Q. What's the Q?
So explain the difference.
Q is for gender queer, and gender queer is a term that we use for someone who's gender non-conforming, or might be what we like. It's not really the best term, but you can say like androgynous. There's no distinguishing characteristics one way or the other, or they like aspects of both, and so they express both in different ways. And that doesn't mean those people don't know, or that it's a phase or anything like that. They may just be that way, and that's
because I heard in Japan there's a large number of young people that go out of their way to dress in a way that you can't tell whether they're male or female.
Absolutely.
And it's it's a way of them saying, we're rebelling towards all those stereotypes. We are just two people, and it doesn't matter, where we are. Still, there's certain things that you like as a man or as a woman or transgender or whatever, your sexual attractions, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think sometimes people feel that with all of these rights, giving all these rights, all of a sudden you're threatening the marriage, and I always ask, how is that being threatening?
That makes me giggle so much when they say you're changing the definition
of marriage.
Or you're threatening. Well, it doesn't mean you still can't get married. Right?
And it doesn't affect you, yeah.
It doesn't affect you. Nobody, where you go to the bathroom doesn't affect you.
Well, it depends on what your definition of marriage is. Is it one man, one woman, and your 700 concubines?
You're in the Bible again.
I know, the Bible.
Yeah, now it's
my favorite book.
It's funny because you look in the Bible how they define marriage.
Right.
And boy, there's so many ways. That's why it's called the multiple choice book. Because whatever you want to find, it's there. Just go look for it. You'll find it.
And I've heard that the nuclear family, the whole one man, one woman, that's actually rather recent. Especially romantic love.
Yeah.
Between a man. That's a very recent idea.
Very recent.
So what they're telling us is a traditional marriage
that is recent.
Isn't, yeah.
It's a recent tradition.
Even before, when it was a man and a woman, it wasn't because of romantic love.
Not usually.
No, it was because he had huge tracts of land and things like that.
And if you're like Abraham, then marrying your half sister.
Gross.
Sarah.
And
Or if you're Lot. You go after the
daughters. And
I love how the story stops right at that part.
At that age,
right?
in church.
Yeah.
They don't go to the next step.
And Lot went with his daughters too. All right, and we're going to everyone stand up and sing.
Close your books. But these are the kind of questions that we have to ask because, like I said, the culture and people are freaking out over, and it's a good thing. I think tolerance, acceptance, understanding is a good thing. Why? Because they say what about 25% of homeless youth are LGBT. Or more than that.
It's so sad.
Or you have people beating, hurting, injuring transgender women, transgender men being told that they're molesters and they can't go into the bathroom. These things will go away.
You're guilty until proven innocent.
Absolutely.
And from imaginations. But I think that brings up a topic that is important to mention here. A great deal of transgenders, suffer from suicide and depression, deep depression. What can you tell us about that? What are the percentages, if you know them, and what do you think? You think this is going to help by this more acceptance? Is going to make people, hopefully less suicidal, because that they point to that and say, you see, they're defective, they're killing each other.
Right.
They're not right people. These people are not.
See how depressed they are? Well, yeah, I can see because you keep poking them with the stick. Stop that.
Exactly.
Discriminating.
I mean, the most recent tragedy that I can remember, or that really affected me, was Leila Alcorn, and what struck me about her suicide was how much she wanted it to mean something. And what's sad about that is that there's a lot that go unnoticed. And the fact that she was like, I want this to mean something. She felt like she had to die in order for things to change. And that's probably the saddest part. Now, I don't know all the numbers, but I know they're all too high. And I know the result of bullying, and not the result of anything that's wrong with them. It's not because they're trans, it's because
anyone that is treated that way will feel that way.
Yeah,
regardless.
They're treated like, they're just treated like dirt, and it's worse than that. They're vilified and demonized.
Have you experienced bullying? Have you experienced people trying to shut you up before and after you started in this process?
I bullied her in the room with me.
Stop bullying.
She's so mean. No, I mean the only real problem I've had is something I can't talk about here. But I've only had one real problem, and it's actually very entertaining. I have an Ask FM account that people can ask me questions on.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few not so good questions there, but overall.
But the good thing about the internet is you can sort of turn people off.
Exactly.
Put them off and go. But sometimes if it's a work environment or you live in a small community where you really can't get away, it becomes really sad to see this bullying going on. And when some transgender have gone to the authorities are not at all. I mean, they treat him as say, hey, I'm with the other guy. I'm with the guy that's abusing you.
Yeah.
And I don't see what the problem is. You're the problem, and get into a lot of trouble. With that in mind, what about prison? A lot transgender, so it becomes bathrooms are an issue, but I think prison can kill you.
Yeah.
In a prison environment. What do you know about that?
I have to, a little bit of full disclosure, I'm pretty lucky to be in the situation I'm in. I've never been to prison, don't plan on it. I also don't have a lot of the obstacles that a lot of other trans women have, I don't have. But I know that being treated just with any modicum of respect, for who you are in prison is probably the biggest problem. I mean, even in Orange is the New Black with Laverne Cox, like they explore a little bit of those problems, like how
she's in a woman's prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's not always the case.
They wanted to cheat.
Sometimes it's not.
And there's an episode where they want to take her hormones away, and she's like freaking out because that's, essentially when you're in that position, that's kind of like not life-saving medicine, but it's.
So unfortunately, if you were to get arrested today, a lot of prisons will
meet me out back.
Will look at your sexual parts and say, you're a guy. You're being put in a prison with guys, and that's almost certain death. There.
Oh, absolutely.
And now, right before this show, I saw that Rikers. Last November, Rikers is the prison in New York City, biggest prison. They opened one building with 30 beds. For transgender people.
Or they could just put transgender prisoners in a woman's prison.
Yeah, and so that's the idea. Well, we can talk about this for hours. We've run out of time. Please, to our audience, explore this topic further. Educate people around you, your family and friends, and everything. And don't.
We're winning the social war, the culture war.
Yes,
absolutely.
You will be in the right side of history. So this is something that we all need to do, whether you're male, female, transgender or not. You need to push it because rights for one is rights for all.
Yes.
So we need to do that. Make sure that that this is something that we keep in front of us.
So anyway, from everybody here, I'm Tiffany Harding,
Stephanie,
and David Tamayo. Until next time.
We're done.
Awesome.
Where's the music?